It's time to make America Nazi-free again. I see what you did there, Machine Games, you clever Nazi-hating girl. Picking up about 5 months after the New Order, the new Colossus follows a critically injured B.J. Blazkowicz and the remaining members of the Kreisau Circle. After surviving a vicious attack from Lieutenant General Irene Engel, B.J. and the Resistance attempt to ignite a revolution in America against the occupying Nazi regime. When you're hearing all this, it sounds like some pretty heavy narrative stuff, but I was very impressed by how Machine Games was able to balance various tones throughout the game. I mean, we have one scene where we're dealing with one of the most vile and detestable racist characters ever seen in a video game. And then we can transition to a laugh-out-loud moment or even something that's really heartwarming, a scene that is actually very dramatic. It's definitely absurd, but it just works so well for me. It's just Machine Games walking this tightrope of tone and knowing what to balance at any given time. A lot of that balancing act is successful because of the characters, and if you were a fan of the character work in the New Order, then you'll be very happy to know it's done, at least for the most part, very well here. I thought the attention given to BJ's personality and character in the New Order was great, but the new Colossus kind of blows it out of the water. We see him dealing with his own mortality, depression, his history with his mother and father, and also the fact that him and Anya are going to be parents. That's a lot of shit to deal with, especially when you're the face of this resistance movement to take down the Nazis. But we're also introduced to a couple new faces as well, including one of the game's standouts, Grace Walker. She's the leader of her own resistance cell in a bombed-out New York City, and her group seems to be inspired by the Black Panther movement from the 1960s and 70s. Machine Games does a great job of explaining what her worldview is, and you start to understand why she's in a leadership position in the first place. Along with Grace, we're also introduced to her partner Super Special, and I was very grateful to have him in the game because he brought so much levity to it. He's a conspiracy theorist, and he believes the reason why the Nazis have this advanced technology is because of aliens. He's also pretty adamant about it. I'm not saying it's space aliens, but it's motherfucking space aliens. Now, there are some additional new faces in the game, but most of the New Order's original cast return in this one. Again, Frau Engel is back, and she's just as crazy and terrifying as ever, probably even more so. She just serves as the perfect villain, the one that you're itching to kill even after you've buried a hatchet into the faces of 1,000 Nazis. The last character I wanted to bring up, who I thought was a great addition to the story, was BJ's dad, Rip Blazkowicz. Man, fuck this guy. When it just opens with him being a racist, wife-beating piece of shit, I just wanted to kill him so bad. But what makes that scene so effective is the fact that it's a flashback sequence, and you're viewing it as BJ as a little kid, and you can't do anything in that moment. It's just this continuing sense of rage that Machine Games is building throughout the story, and it just works so well. Now, thankfully, you can tamper down that range a bit through the gameplay, and much like the New Order and the Old Blood, the new Colossus gives you plenty of ways to kill Nazis. The first-person shooting is incredibly fast and smooth, and the number of ways that you can kill the enemies, or as I prefer to call them, the meat, is consistently satisfying. Dual-wielding is back again, but it's upgraded a bit and allows you to dual-wield 2 different kinds of weapons at once. Want to have an assault rifle in one hand and a shotgun in the other? The option's there for you. Stealth also returns, but the knife has been replaced with a hatchet. A pretty good upgrade in my opinion. The melee kills are even more gory, making every kill wonderfully satisfying. And of course, the perk system returns, allowing you to upgrade BJ's Nazi killing skills along the way. It's actually through the perk system that lets you experiment with combat and offers a degree of challenge for when you're killing the meat in a few different ways. Now, I do have a few complaints about the game, and weirdly it has to do with the save system and chapter select. Or in this case, the complete lack of a chapter select system. The previous 2 Wolfenstein games had a regular save system, but they also allowed you to go back and play specific chapters. And that's what makes it so frustrating, because the new Colossus doesn't let you go back and play specific chapters. Now, the new Colossus does allow you to go back to specific areas to complete side quests and to grind out perk achievements via terminal in the hub world. But if you want to go back and play a specific story mission, you won't be able to unless you made a save before that mission took place. It's just a very strange exclusion, especially because the previous 2 games allow you to play old chapters. Now, the other thing is that, aside from one of the funniest and most disturbing scenes in the game, narratively, I think the first half of the new Colossus is better than the second half. I loved everything to do with BJ's emotional turmoil about his own mortality, his relationship with Anya and his friends, and especially with his father. Thinking about it now, I can honestly say I hated Rip Blazkowicz even more than Frau Engel. There was something about Rip that took it to another level for me, and the dynamic between Rip and BJ, that's what really made me very invested in the story. It was honestly my favorite story beat in the entire game. And I think that's why I was left a little underwhelmed by the second half of the story for a very important reason. While the second half of the new Colossus certainly dealt with BJ's physical problem, it kind of brushed away everything that he was going through emotionally in the game's first half. It's just kind of confusing why Machine Games wanted to drop all that character building stuff with BJ. You know, the fact that they were exploring his emotional turmoil and then to have it kind of go away and not even matter anymore, it was just really weird. I just hope that they kind of address that in the sequel, whatever it might be. Now, even though I felt that way about some aspects of the game's second half and the lack of a chapter select system, the new Colossus does give me what I typically want to see in a single-player focused shooter. For the most part, it actually goes above and beyond what I typically want with a first-person shooter. You still have a fairly strong narrative, my preferred type of first-person shooting, and some fantastic world building. Plus, you're killing Nazis. And Klansmen. That's the other thing. You get to hatchet the KKK in the face. You're already in my good graces just for that. And that's why, for me, the new Colossus is the very definition of a big buy.
Shut up and take my money!
But what about you? What did you think of Wolfenstein: The New Colossus? Just leave a comment below and let me know. If you like these reviews, Let's Plays, and other videos, be sure to subscribe and keep up with all the latest content. And remember, keep it classy.